What's going on, guys? Welcome to another video. Today I'm going to do a power steering fluid flush on my 2007 Silverado Classic. Here is the cap and the engine. It's just below the alternator. That's where your power steering pump is. And we're going to start up here and use this pump right here. It's a little battery powered suction pump. I'm going to use that to clear out the reservoir as much as I can, and then we'll go below, take off the return line on the pump, and we'll drain it at the bottom and flush it with new fluid and then fill her back up. So that'll be the process. Let's take a look. I'll show you this fluid that's on here now. You can see it's not filthy, but it's pretty dirty, and it's definitely time for this to be changed because I don't think it's been done, and it's probably due. Plus, as you've seen in my other videos, if you guys have been watching a couple of those, especially the one where I was working on getting rid of wine in this truck, I think the power steering pump is what's doing it. So we're gonna switch that out. And yeah, anyways, let's get going. So I guess I can actually take this off and we'll start working with the suction pump. It just connects to my battery, which fortunately is just right here close. And then we're gonna take this line. You can look at the markings there and it shows you which way the flow is going. So we'll put this line into the reservoir, and then this other end I'll put into a catch can or just something to drain it off into. If you don't have a pump, you can actually just use a turkey baster if you want to get a lot of the fluid out of there. But yeah, so let's just get this all set up and we'll pump out what we can. So, and there's the pump. You can see I actually just ran it, and it made pretty short work of pumping this fluid in here. And as you can see, it is absolutely filthy. That is it's not the color we want. You can see there's particulates and stuff in there as well. So this truck is way overdue for this. But that's most of it sucked out of the reservoir there. You can hear the pump bubbling there. What we're going to do now is actually go in there into the truck, and we're going to saw the wheel back and forth, lock to lock, a couple times to see if we can get any more fluid in there to suck out. So I'm here in the truck. We're going to unlock the wheel, put the key in. Do not start the truck. You don't want to run that pump dry any more than you have to. I'm just going to unlock the wheel, and we're just going to go lock. I'll do it kind of slow. I'm trying to be like sort of methodical about it here. Lock. I'm probably going to do this where I hit lock about 3 times on each side. So there's 2 on the left, 2 on the right. Go nice and easy. There's a 3rd one on the left. And a 3rd one on the right. Kind of looks like a little headless guy spinning around on a wheel, doesn't it? All right, let's see if that got any more fluid into the reservoir for us to suck out. Okay, we'll run our pump again now that we have sawed the wheel back and forth. Easy enough. It definitely got a little bit more. I think I'm going to repeat the procedure just to be sure. So we'll do that and then I'll come back. All right, underneath the truck now, kind of looking up towards where we were just working, but we're underneath now. I actually have removed the plastic skid plate that's here just so I can see a little bit better. But the hose we want to remove to drain this out is going to be this one right here. This one's your high pressure line. We don't want to mess with it. But the one behind it, it's got this little clamp on here. That's the one we're going to remove to drain the rest of this out and continue our flush here. So I'm gonna figure out if it's gonna be easier to reach from the top or the bottom, but I wanted to show you guys what that looks like from the bottom here. That's what we're gonna disconnect and continue draining with. I think I am gonna go in from the top, and we're gonna use these hose clamp pliers I got off Amazon. Nice little ratcheting style. You just click it in there like that. It should grab a hold of it. Finally got that moved aside. Now I should be able to pull that hose off. I'm actually going to go underneath to try and do this and hope that I can catch a lot of it without spilling too much. Come underneath here and show you guys the setup. This is the return hose here. I just had some extra hose laying around that I put into the end of it. Kind of stuck this into the end. So it'll drain, the return hose will drain from this, then into the catch bucket. Then we have this other hose from the pump. I actually removed it and put it on where we removed the hose. So that'll be catching up there. So we've got two hoses draining down into the catch bucket here. We ought to be good to go. With that hose disconnected now, I'm actually going to come in and I'm going to saw the wheel again. Hopefully we can get a little more of that old fluid out. You guys get the idea. After sawing the wheel back and forth several times, I think I'm not hearing any more gurgling, and I think I've got about all the fluid that's going to come out into our catch can here. So now it's going to be time to run some new fluid through and finish the flush out, and then we'll work on reconnecting everything. Once you start seeing your fluid run pretty clear, or the color or whatever it is you're putting in there, it's time to reattach that hose, which I have just done actually. While it was still running a little bit, I wanted to make sure and stick it up on there to conserve as much fluid as I could. But now I have to go up there and redo the hose clamp. If you get it put back on the bottom, make sure not to forget to reattach your hose clamp. I've just slid that back into place there. So we should be good to go. And it'll be time to put some new fluid in. Fill her on up. Got my funnel in place, but before we start putting in the new fluid, just wanted to point out on your cap, this one, and I'm sure yours does too if you've got a similar Silverado to me, has got a full cold line. So we want to fill it to there while we've got the engine off and the engine is cold. After filling it up, a little bit past too full for the cold, it was coming up pretty high. This cold side, it was up about here. So I was too full on the cold, but I sawed the wheel back and forth several times. That helps to purge air that you may have introduced into the system. So you do that. What I'm thinking I may do is, while I've got the hose clamp pliers still here and everything, and my bucket for my oil, I think I'm gonna drain just a little bit more out again, because I bought 2 bottles and I think I'm gonna have plenty. So I think I'm gonna drain it out just one more time, just to get a little bit more, after I've cycled it, I'm gonna try and get a little bit more of that contaminant out of there, just to make sure we got a nice clean flush. So I think I'm gonna do that real quick, and then we'll come back and top it up. After detaching the hose the second time, after a couple cycles with the wheel, I've now filled it back up to the cold low mark, and I'm in here doing some more cycles to full lock. Getting my steering wheel real oily, gonna have to re-detail it. Probably should have got a towel. But as you're doing this, you've got your cap off for the power steering fluid reservoir still. And as you're doing this, you'll be able to hear it gurgling as it purges air from the system. After several cycles of this, you'll eventually quit hearing the air. And then that's when it's going to be time to recheck the level and top it off if you need to. Okay, I stopped hearing any bubbling, so let's check our level again. And it is definitely going to need to be topped off once again. Okay, level looks good. So I'm going to reinstall this cap. And now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to start the engine Make sure my hose is in place. It is. I've got the clamp on. Everything's good there. Let's move this funnel out of the way. Knock that down so it's not up into the belt or anything. Everything's free and clear. Now I'm just going to crank the engine over and let it run for just a second and then turn it off just in case there is still air, and we'll check the level again just to be sure and double check, you know. Okay, we'll turn it off. Let's check the level again. Just check the level one more time after that start, and I did need to add just a little bit, but I have topped it off once again. So we may try that one more time and double check. Okay, so it's actually the next day that I'm finally getting back to recording the next clip for this video, but I just wanted to show you guys an update with what happened. I topped everything off, and you know, fluid level was good. What I was getting though was when I was turning the wheel back and forth with all the new fluid and everything in there, I was getting like it was like a shudder. It's hard to, you know, kind of imitate what was happening, but it was shuddering when I was getting close to full lock on turning to the right. And so I think there was just more air in the system still that I've been unable to bleed out. It's gotten a lot better. I did a lot more lock-to-lock turns with the cap off and the engine running just to make sure that that air could escape. And fluid levels are still good. They're holding in a good spot. I actually need to check them again today after the vehicle's been sitting overnight here in the garage. But just want to let you guys know that that's what was happening. I was getting a shudder. Don't worry about it too much. That can happen if you have too low a fluid level. So you really want to make sure that your fluid level is as high as it needs to be. Don't overfill it, but make sure it's at a good level. And then if you still have some air in the system, you're going to be getting some of that cavitation in those hydraulic lines, and you might get some of that shudder as you kind of turn the wheel. But it's gotten a lot better since I've started doing more lock-to-locks, and eventually once I get this vehicle down off the jack stands and get it out into an actual driving environment on the ground, I should be able to release a little bit more of that air just by doing some low speed turns back and forth in like a parking lot or something. I should be able to work the rest of that air out, and that shudder will go away. But overall, the steering feels so much better since changing the power steering fluid. I think it's a lot more responsive and smooth, so that's great. You guys saw that old fluid earlier in the video, so it was definitely time to change that. Unfortunately, it didn't fix the whine that I'm having in the truck. We're still working on tracking that down and figuring out what that is. But as far as like flushing the power steering fluid goes, I think we will call that done. That will do it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. It was a quick look. If you want a really nice, concise look or a different view, there's a lot of other videos here on YouTube. I followed a lot of them actually to make this video and do one for you guys. Chris Fix has got a real good one. Of course, Chris Fix is great. So go check out his video. And yeah, if you guys liked it, drop a like on this video, consider subscribing. I'm doing a ton of work on this truck right now to try and get it back into a much more tolerable state and get rid of some of the extraneous noises, hums, whines, etc. So I'm working on tracking all that down. So if you guys enjoy that kind of stuff, or you have a similar, you know, vehicle to these 2000 to 2006 GM trucks, whether it be Silverado, Sierra, Tahoe, or Yukon, they're all very, very similar. So feel free to follow along by subscribing and check out some of the other videos I got going on, because we're doing a lot of changes. Wheel bearings, actually I have a wheel bearing video up already. I'm going to be doing some brake stuff. We're going to continue looking for that whine and chasing that down and all that kind of good stuff. So anyways, hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you on the next one.